Last time we talked about the big job that we have planned, and I touched on how we broke it down into bite-sized chunks. That would be the rig. The rig has to come down, be inspected, and maybe, perhaps, all of the rigging replaced. We don't know that yet until we take it down. The other part of the job, big part of the job, is the interior, which we intend to remove and replace all of the plywood and all of the hard lumber and all of the bulkheads and replace them. And the third part of the job is the exterior of the boat, the paint. The hull, top sides, and bottom will have to be stripped of hardware, sanded, cleaned, filled, all that stuff, all that preparation for painting, and then it'll have to be painted and then everything put back in again. So that's the other job. What we've been talking about today, Laura contacted Andy. What's the name?
Andy Cowan.
Laura contacted Andy Cowan, who's a local boat builder, boat carpenter, and we just had him down to the boat to talk about the interior job. So we learned a lot more about that, what we're going to do, and we're going to probably modify our plans a little bit. But in working on this, here's the way we broke down the interior job. We need to determine what materials are needed, ensure the proper tools are available, and I have a list of tools. We'll have to order all the materials that we need and the expendables from Seattle. Edensaw Woods is who we're going to go with for the lumber, and probably Fishery Supply for the fiberglass resin and cloth and things like that we need. Talking to Andy, had a lot of suggestions about what materials to use and how we could break down the various tasks. So we're going to go with his recommendations. He's going to do a lot of the milling work for us, and we're going to do a lot of the most of the finishing and fitting, aren't we?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Save a lot of money that way.
We're going to save a lot of money, but we're going to spend a lot of money too.
Oh boy. So have we talked about budget on this at all yet, or have we even got to that point?
We haven't got to that point yet. We had.
I'm afraid to get to that point.
Yeah. Well, when it comes to budget, you have to break down your project into materials and labor costs. And then the third cost you may have is the facility cost. So we're going to have to pay money to the Boatyard to use their space.
And
so that adds to the bill, but it turns out it's not that much. Laura talked to John Murgis, the owner of the local Boatyard, and their rates are pretty good.
Yeah, I thought they were pretty reasonable.
I thought the rates are very reasonable, especially if we get in when they're not really busy with the fishing fleet.
Yeah. The only thing that's going to cost some money is the tenting, or getting a tent, or...
Yeah. Tenting the boat for painting and workspace is going to be a challenge. It might cost us a fair bit of money. But we may have alternatives to that. After talking with Andy, we may be able to do the work without the interior varnishing and stuff that I was really worried about. We may be able to do that without having to set up a shelter in the Boatyard. It's the exterior paint job. Well, if you want to just risk the weather like we did last time.
Look where that got us.
Yeah, look where that got us. Last time we painted the boat, we hauled out in Hawaii, in Honolulu, and we prepped the outside. We're ready to lay down the first coat on the top sides. And, you know, it's Hawaii. The rain will come over from the windward side over the mountains and hit you and be gone in 15 minutes, and that's exactly what happened. We got the first coat of all grip paint on the boat, stood back to admire it.
Then this beautiful little shower came over.
Squall came over the mountains, and it just tropical downpour for 10 minutes, ruined the paint job, passed on by, and it was bright and sunny again. So in the bright sunshine, we started sanding off the paint. And that's when we learned how tough all grip paint is. It's really hard to get off once you put it on. But anyway, that's one thing. Interior materials we had to estimate. I don't know exactly how much it's gonna, how many sheets of plywood I'm going to need yet.
Yeah, we still need to get in touch with Larry on that, right?
But the plywood's expensive. The Okumi marine plywood that we want to get priced out at Edensaw Woods right now, the 18 millimeter is $180 a sheet, and the 9 millimeter is $101 a sheet.
And that's not delivered here.
And that's not delivered. That's FOB Seattle,
Yeah.
or Port Townsend, where Edensaw Woods is actually.
So we still have to get it here.
I still have to ship it up here, but Andy said Edensaw is the best place for that kind of wood. We also wanted to use yellow cedar. Alaskan yellow cedar is available locally, less expensive according to Andy. So we'll look into that. But we have pretty much decided on what to get and where. I just need to decide how much. How many sheets of plywood and how much solid lumber. The lumber that's in the boat now is, the plywood is Sapele on Gaboon Core marine plywood, is the way it came from the factory. And all the solid lumber on the interior, this stuff here, is Sapele as well. So, and Andy suggested that we use Sapele because it's available and it's relatively inexpensive, so we're going to do that. We're going to go stick with the Sapele, and the ceiling that we're going to put in is going to be yellow cedar, just like the existing ceiling that we have that was put in in Port Townsend back in 2007. So it's a familiar path that we're going to follow. There's not going to be anything, radically new and surprising that we're going to find. We've had all this stuff out before. We know what's underneath it, so we know what to expect. We just need to break down how much we can do in the wintertime to make it faster in the spring when we get ready to actually put everything back together.
Our original plan kind of got kiboshed by Andy as far as pulling the material out, getting a lot of stuff done, and fit and finished before.
Yeah, we had thought we would empty all our belongings out of the boat, motor down to Scow Bay, and have John haul us out and put us on stands in the boatyard, and then take the mast down and then start removing the interior. After talking with Andy, he thinks that we should start removing the interior now. He says he can start on it in December, or after Christmas, I guess.
Yeah.
So we could arrange for the materials to arrive here around the 1st of January, and then he can begin work after the 1st of the year. But he wanted to pull this main bulkhead out first. He thinks that's the starting point of the job. Problem is, we can't pull that out until we take the mast down. We have to take the rig down first before we pull this main bulkhead out. We can start taking the other stuff out and leave the mast up, but we need to keep this main bulkhead in.
The bulkhead's the key.
So that's.
So we're just going to have to kind of play with the schedule a little bit and figure out best way to make it work.
It's kind of a sticking point where we are at right now. Taking the mast down.
And finding storage for it over the winter.
We can take it down, that's no problem. It's finding a storage place for it and transporting it to the storage place.
Yeah.
Is something that we can't just do like that. So we have to figure that out, but we have time. We have time to figure it out, and we have time to sharpen the pencil up again and work on the budget. I don't even want to say the numbers that we're thinking of right now.
I'm not looking forward to it. I think somebody actually asked why we didn't just buy a whole new boat. And realistically, we're going to be spending probably in the $15,000 range.
And maybe more.
And maybe
we will
more.
Certainly spend enough money
to buy a whole new boat.
To buy another used Vega that is in better condition than this boat is now.
But we love this boat.
But we love this boat. Yes.
And we're willing to put the money and the time and the effort into this hull.
Well, I've often said that if I had the money to buy a brand new boat, I would take this boat to somebody like Andy and have it, and just have them redo it.
We've said
And then
that
we
several
take the
times over
leftover
the years.
then we take the leftover money and go cruising for 10 years. Yeah, I mean, so it's not about. I mean, there is a point at which we would not spend the money,
But we haven't hit that yet.
but we haven't come even close to it yet.
Yeah.
So we're gonna have to work on raising some cash. It's not going to be that far out of reach, I don't think.
No.
And get some help doing the work. The labor is the most expensive part of the job.
Yeah.
We can start on. I don't want to start on. I don't want to start on the mast until. I don't want to start on the mast until summer. I don't really think it's going to need any new rigging. I don't think I'm going to have to make up new rigging for it, but I'm going to examine it with a microphone. I'm going to examine it with a magnifying glass and make sure it's okay to put back up again. And if it's not,
We'll go from there.
we'll go from there. I'm thinking I'll call Brian Toss down in Port Townsend and see.
Well, that's one of the exciting things about the rigging we've been talking about is
Been talking about going to HMPE shrouds for quite a while, and possibly backstay. HMPE shrouds and backstay, which would save a lot of weight and save all the worry about corrosion and that you can't see in the rig, because none of that will be a factor. But the only thing you have to worry about with HMPE rigging is chafe. So, but I'm going to talk to Brian. He was talking about it 8 years ago, and he did a friend of ours boat. I should ask Dina and James, huh?
Yeah, how
Should
well
ask
it's
Dina
held
and
up.
James how well that's held up on their boat, because they had that done. That would have been 2008.
Eight? Yeah.
They had that done.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it's held up on their boat. Give them a call and check with them. So we may be redoing the rig with HMPE rigging, or maybe not.
Dead eyes and lanyards.
Dead eyes and lanyards and HMPE rigging.
Go old school.
Yeah.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, and that won't take a lot of time, and it won't take a lot of outside labor. It's all stuff that we can do ourselves. The exterior of the boat, in terms of painting, can go pretty quickly, but it's time consuming. You know, the sanding and filling, and cleaning and preparation for paint. That's the time consuming part. And that we're going to need help with just to make it go faster. We can put 4 people to work on the boat doing that. And if we do that, we know that last time we did it, it took about 80 man hours. 2 people working. Actually, it did not take that long. But if you had 2 people working 8 hours a day, 5 days, it would do a really good job of prepping the outside of the boat for paint.
Yeah.
So that's it. Since last time, we've determined that the Boatyard can handle what we want to do without any problem at all, and pretty economically. We've determined that there's local help available for the woodworking that we want to do. There's shop space available for us that we can use during the winter if we need to. And we have a better idea of what we'll need, where to get it, and how much it's going to cost. And we have one more factor to plug in to the equation determining the cost of the job. We know what our professional help with the carpenter is going to be. So we've made a lot of progress this week, and everything that we've accomplished this week will make the final job easier. Stay tuned.